Now there's a Rock Nation fighter that I just talked to, and I was talking to his dad, and he really broke it down, and I'm going to put the interview up on the channel. And the father, since his son boxes, he says the goal is he's been in there with people like Chad Dawson.
Yeah.
I think he said he sparred with Andre Ward and stuff like that. But you don't want to rush your young fighter in there too dangerous. And like examples that come to mind are people like Antoine Douglas, a middleweight showing a lot of promise, and then he recently got stopped. Amir Imam.
I didn't understand. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't understand why they put him in there with a guy who was 30-2, and it was. Even though the guy was short, but still, you have to look at his record, and the guy looked like he had a lot of knockouts, and at some point, it don't matter how many bums you fought, if you still knocking them all out after like 15 to 17 fights, maybe you just hit hard. So the guy had a lot of knockouts. He was clearly a grown-ass man and was experienced. And I heard after the interview, he said he knew he was a kid when he got in there with him. So you don't throw your fighter in there with somebody at that experience level when they got promised like that.
Amir Imam, you kind of broke down the fight.
Yeah, you don't throw nobody in there.
He was a mandatory for, I believe, Victor Postal, and then they threw him in there with the Granados, who survived the knockdown, got back up, and went on to stop.
See, what they're not doing is they're not watching the
tapes?
Al Heyman and Floyd Mayweather. What they should have did was, you're about to fight Victor Postal. You find a fighter similar to him that's not as good as him. Same height. There's plenty of other guys out there that are like 5'10", 5'11", with a boxing style. You find them at the same height, and you put those guys in there with Amir Imam, so he can get used to fighting those type of guys under the lights. And then when he gets to Victor Postal, he's seen that before under those lights, and it's easy work. It's just common sense, man. It's not common sense, it's educated sense, like my man Simon Redding says out at Hit Fit. Shout out to Hit Fit, Colonel DeChivo, we out here, but it's just, man, you gotta really watch what you're doing out here in boxing.
So that's the danger of putting your fighter in too early. So do you see?
How you doing, brother?
Sometimes people say Al Heyman's putting on cherry picks. Do you think that's good? Do you think his protocol for his fighters, like let's say Deontay Wilder, he was in tough with Bermane Stiverne because he was a challenger. Stiverne has a chin, has power, knocked Chris Arreola out.
Yes, twice.
Wilder he didn't knock him out the first time. He broke his nose though the first time. And then
he chopped him.
Yes. So Wilder was in there. He lifted the belt from Bermane Stiverne, and then he had some hometown fights. He fought Eric Molina, a guy with power who just recently knocked out Thomas Adamek. And then he fought Johan Duhaupas, another tough guy. Not big names, but tough. He just knocked out an undefeated.
It doesn't matter if their names are big, because some of these guys with big names aren't tough as the guys that you never heard of. And that's the thing. You got to fight tough people. You want the experience, without the pressure. Because with the big name comes pressure and media. You get a guy who's doesn't have a big name, but he's tough. Like the guy from France that Deontay Wilder fought. That was a good fight.
That was a Johan Duhaupas.
Yeah, that guy.
And he just last weekend, Eric Molina, a guy that Wilder beat, and then Duhaupas, they both scored knockouts against ranked people. The Johan Duhaupas just knocked out a guy, Helenas, who was undefeated heavyweight.
Yeah, man, them dudes just can fight, bro.
So they're just not big names. So, and then now he's gonna go into he went to Spilka, and then now it looks like he's gonna fight his mandatory Povetkin. So, you think that's the proper way to build a champion?
Of course I do.
Because he had the Bermane Stiverne fight, he had some stay busy, feel good fights with tough people. And then
it was a one fighter. His name was he was from Philly. He won like a gold medal in the Olympics. He fought Tito Trinidad. What was his name? He fought Tito Trinidad. He fought Tito Trinidad. What was his name? Who? He was from Philly. Look him up. I forgot his name, but that he won I think he won. He was the only other Olympian who won a gold medal before Andre Ward. What was his name? I forgot his name.
What's the significance of your story?
The significance of the story is they put him in too early. He was good and he was on his way coming up, but then they matched him against Felix Trinidad, Tito Trinidad.
And he got blasted?
He wasn't the same after the fight. I think he got stopped. You know what I'm saying? And that's when Trinidad was at his highest. Yeah, he was at his peak. You don't You don't do that to your fighter, man. You don't put him on. You gotta baby him. It's like having a little puppy or having it's like a baby, man. You gotta gradually show them. You know what I'm saying? Just because they were good as amateurs, you have to still take your time with them.
Is that why Lomachenko?
Yeah, same
I was just gonna say, is that why he lost to Salido?
That's how we know that. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, is that why he lost to Salido?
Yeah, because he
felt he
was feeling himself because he was doing his thing, but he wasn't ready as a pro to get in there with Salido, who had took his bumps and bruises as a pro.
That's a good point, because Salido, a lot of people sleep on him. He's been in there with Rocky Martinez. He stopped Juan Manuel Lopez. He's been in there with Robert Guerrero, Yuriorkis Gamboa. Man, Salido got names.
Man, he got names.
There was a Japanese guy, I forgot. He had a fight of the year with him.
So then you put Lomachenko in there with Lomachenko in there with him, bro. It's not gonna be the same. It's gonna be different. That's her. It's gonna be different. It's not gonna be the same, man. He doesn't have enough pro experience. He's not gonna know how to act. Remember when we had the conversation of like when you're a pro and you got experience, you do know what to do in certain situations. That's what's gonna happen. He knows what to do in certain situations. Oh, this guy could box. I'm about to rough his ass up. So when Lomachenko's trying to box and move and do all the things, Salido like, all right, I'm gonna slow you down, hit you in the hip, hit you in the thing, pull your head down, grab you. He's doing all the things you can do, and you're not gonna be the same after that. So then what Lomachenko did from that is he took that experience to the Gary Russell fight. Gary Russell hadn't had a fight like that, even though Gary Russell was very talented. Then he took that to the Gary Russell experience and then won that fight. So that's what you have to do. You have to take these experiences that you learn from your previous fights and you have to carry them to your next fight with the educated approach.
So it all trickles down.
It trickles down, man. You have to use that educated approach. You have to use that educated approach to with your experience to beat the next opponent.
Next level.
Yeah, to get to the next level, man. That's what you got to do.
So it almost sounds like kind of like one of those old Nintendo games, those video games where you have to go through the henchmen, then you get to the underboss, and then you get to the level boss at the end once you pass those other steps.
So that's basically what it is, man. But that's what you have to do. You don't throw your fighter. And this goes just what we're saying goes all the way back. All the little short stories we just gave you goes all the way back to you don't put your prospect in there with experienced guy who's took his bumps and bruises, because he might beat him, and then if he beat him, you got a diamond in the rough. But then if he get chopped up, we know why he got chopped up, because he wasn't ready for that level of opposition, because he hadn't had enough experience.
And the funny thing is, it sounds like what we're talking about is kind of basic if you think about it. Like guys like Canelo, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
Yes,
they didn't have amateur background, so they learned on the job. That's why Chavez.
Actually, Canelo did have an amateur background.
Not a big one though.
Not a big one.
And it wasn't in the main circuit.
It wasn't the main circuit. He had like the amateur background was on the Mexican circuit. But at 16, he took his
15. He turned pro at 15.
You know what I'm saying?
And Chavez fought like 89 people to get acclimated before he started fighting.
Yes. And that's okay. You know, you
people like Sweet Pete Whitaker and stuff.
Yeah, you got to do that. Which he still lost the first time. You know what I'm saying? But that was another story. But man, that's what you have to do. You can't get in there with no experience and think you're gonna edit a video like Boxingego. You're not gonna be able to chop it up. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna look stupid. You know what I mean? Your videos are not gonna look good. That's just what it is, bro. Cornel de Chivo. But don't put the bottom line. What we're saying is don't put your prospect in there with a fighter who's took his bumps and bruises and is experienced on a certain level as a pro, because he might not come out of that, and he might not be the same.
Another person is that kind of comes to mind is Thomas Delorme, Puerto Rican prospect, and then they put him in there with Luis Carlos Abregu, who had been in there with Bradley
and he was an awkward fighter, and it was kind of big at that weight, and he had that awkward power.
And then Delorme looked good at first, and then he got stopped. And then he ain't had no real big win since. He
hasn't been the same since. He even had trouble with Hank Lundy.
Yeah, he had Kareem Mayfield.
Yeah, Kareem Mayfield. He had trouble with Kareem, because Kareem, shout out to Kareem Mayfield. He had trouble with Kareem, you know, because that pressure, and Kareem putting that awkward pressure. You You know, that's the things that you have to. They should have took Thomas Delorme a little bit slower. They think because of his height and then he had a good puncher power and technique that he would just be able to overwhelm some guys. But not every guy is in there to lay down.
So do you think the big when it comes to putting your fighter in too early, you think the biggest hindrance is what happens to them mentally or physically?
No, mentally.
So it's
a trickle down effect, because what's happening to you physically is what's hurting you mentally. Because if you're not even getting hurt physically and they're not doing nothing, you just like, oh, it ain't nothing, then you're gonna prevail. But due to the fact that the guy is hitting you with hard body shots and sneaking, man, and you never been hit like this before. And it's the same thing, like even in sparring, like you get in there with somebody good, and you're like, damn, I ain't never been hit like that. I need to step my game up.
Like when Willie was chopping you that one?
Yeah, when Willie was chopping me. But see, sparring, that's when you can learn from the sparring. A fight under the lights, mentally you can't come back from that because it's set in stone. It's on video, and no matter how many, you can watch it 1,000 times. So you have to, before you get in there under the lights, the guy's experience can break you down bad physically, and you're not going to be the same mentally when you're done. So that's what Floyd Mayweather does. And Bernard Hopkins used to do that to people.
Kelly Pavlik.
Kelly, you don't be the same after that beating you took. Even if it didn't knock you out, straight up, the 12-round beating you took and the mental breakdown he took just to bust your pack, you're not going to be the same after that. And you might lose a couple of fights, but if you have enough confidence in yourself, you can come back after that. But if you don't, man, you're never going to be the same fighter again. So I'm just hoping that Amir Imam can bounce back, because I like him as a fighter. He's dope to me. He's sweet to me. I'm just hoping he can come back from that and start busting packs like he was doing before.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.